Hello, good evening everyone. Is there anyone there? Trying to see. Oh, yes, there's a few people coming in. Hello everyone. It's Monday again. Let me just see which way I need to turn this so I can actually get in the middle. That's better. That's better. Hello Karen, how are you? Still coughing, I bet. Yeah, it's Monday. It's the 13th of June. Hi to the twins and to Linda. Good evening, everyone. There's a few people coming in now, 40 odd, so that's great. It's another Making It Monday. So welcome to my workroom. You can see, if you've ever been here before, that I am not Lizzie, but it's Kath, and so it's really nice to see everybody. Hi, Linda. And it's been a gorgeous day here today. It's been so warm and glorious sunshine. It's been lovely. Hi from Spain there. Was that Mary? I think it was. Let me just see. I can't tell now. Oh yes, it was Mary. Hi Mary. And Jeanette. It's lovely to see everybody. Thank you for joining me. As I say, it's been a gorgeous day here. I hope you've had a lovely day where you have as well. I've been at work. So haven't seen a great deal of it except out the window. I'm very lucky that my desk is by the window. So yeah, been managed to see what's going on outside and had the window open. So it's been lovely. So Lizzie is still having a bit of a break, a well-earned rest, and she tells me everything is going fine. She's enjoying herself. She's having lots of rest. So that's what we want, isn't it? She was really poorly a few weeks ago, as you know. So I think she's recharged her batteries. Hi, Christine and Meryl. And yeah, she's recharged her batteries, and I think she's had nice weather again today. So that's really good. I'm really pleased about that. 37 degrees there, Mary. That is a bit hot for me. That's a bit too hot for me. It's been about 25 here, I think. Hi, Jane. Yeah, it's been about 25 here. And when I'm at work, that's enough, thanks. If I was in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt in the garden, I might be able to cope with 30, but I don't know about 35. So, but I'm glad it's nice for you, Mary. So there we are. So tonight, please excuse me again, because I get so many notifications on my phone, and I try and switch them off before a Monday or before a live, and they still seem to creep in. And there's some banner on here that I really need to get rid of. That's it. That's better. Now I can actually see what's going on. And please excuse me if I'm looking down, because I'm looking down at my my laptop, because it's a bit of a bigger picture. And at the moment, hi Sue, at the moment I can see all the what am I trying to say, comments on my phone, but very often that just goes and I can't see anything. So that's why I have my laptop near me. So without further ado, then it's 5 past. So while I'm sorting out things, you can always tell me what you've been doing and what you've been up to, what's going on in your day today. I got a little story to tell you about Frank later. Remind me to tell you. If anybody doesn't know, Frank is my new puppy. He's 13 weeks old now. And suffice it to say, he's getting worse. And I'm not quite sure whether that's him, or whether I'm not a very good puppy mother, or whether he's following his two sisters, because that's probably what it is. But I'll tell you about it in a bit. Hot and muggy in Tennessee. Yeah, I bet it is, Sarah. So nice cool room for you with some aircon. That'd be lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke the camera down so that you can see what's on my desk, and then we can talk through the pattern, and then we'll start making. And I'm going to do something very daring tonight. You'll find out what it is. We'll see. No, I'm not doing anything that you don't want to see. That's for a different occasion. But you might want to see this. All right, let's put you down. Okay, can somebody let me know if that is a good enough view there? Can you see what's on my desk kind of in front of me? You might not be able to see right back here, but I can pop it up a tiny little bit. Okay, so it is, he's probably copying his sister Cindy, because they're very mischievous, shall we say, very mischievous. So yeah, perfect, good, thanks Meryl. Everything's a good view. So what we've got here, then I'll put that out the way, are two Jeeves. Is that two Jeeves or two Jeeveses? I don't know. But anyway, these are tiny, this one particularly is a tiny little single cup cafetiere cover, a little cafetiere hug. So we've got some wadding in there. Now, before I start, if you want to use ordinary wadding, use it. I think in this one I used H640 and it's quite thick. In this one I used ordinary 80/20 and it's finer. If you want to use something like thermal wadding or whatever, you know, you can do that. Cafetières don't go cold very quick, do they? So, you know, whatever you want to use, if you want to use that, that's absolutely fine. And basically all we need is scraps of fabric, as you can see. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to try, anyway, that's better, or is that better? I don't know which. That one. I'm going to try and do both. Shall we see how that goes? I'm going to try and do both. I've prepped both because I've done them both in different ways for you to be able to see some alternatives. All right, I'm going to start off with a little one. It's slightly more fiddly because it's small, but you're happy with that. You know what you're at with your small pieces. So it's very much like last week. If you were watching last week, I showed you how to use the quilter's grid. This is a product by Valiseline. It used to be Violin. And I'm afraid for our overseas members tonight, oh, you're here, Pauline, missed the start. Well, I was only waffling. Don't worry about that. Just waiting for, that's better. Go for it. Thanks, Ellen. I don't know, for the sake of our overseas visitors, what it would be in your country. For instance, I don't know what it would be in the States, or what you would get. So the fabric, it is like a non-woven fabric. This is the what we call the correct side, the right side, if you like. And you can see that the brown lines on it are clearer. They're just like a brown tan line. And no, they're not very dark, but if you had it very dark, you would see through your fabric. So you don't want that, because those lines don't go away. And this doesn't come out of your project in the end. It's like a very lightweight stabilizer. So if you're finding it difficult to see, get yourself an extra bit of light, and then you can see. Now, I think you can probably see, I don't know what, I'll put a little bit of white there, and you can see that you can actually see those lines through that. Can you see that? So they're not as prominent as on the other side, because this is covered with a layer of glue. All right, and it feels slightly rougher. It's covered with a layer of glue. So the pattern will tell you what you need to cut, and instead of squares this week, like I used last week, I am using strips. All right, so for this particular one, I've chosen the size, and that size is in the pattern. In the pattern, I've put the two sizes, and I've put the small one first, and I've told you the size of the quilter's grid that needs to go underneath. So and in the brackets, the square brackets are the sizes of fabrics and things that you'll need for the larger one. So Sheila was away in her camper van last week. Oh, how lovely. I want to go away. Had a great time at Devizes. It's somewhere I've never been. That's in Wiltshire, isn't it? So that's not too far from me, but I've never been to Devizes. I had a friend whose son lived there, but we never quite got there, and he's moved away now. So but yeah, how lovely. Well, welcome back. I'm glad you had a good time, Sheila. And you can catch up with last week's, because it's always there. And I think when Lizzie gets home, she will upload it to YouTube. So I think there's been issues with signals and Wi-Fi and all that kind of thing. So what I've done with this then is the right side of the quilter's grid facing downwards on my ironing mat, and so the glue side is up, and then I've put my strips with the right side facing up, so the pretty side, the wrong side to the glue. And then we're going to use the iron. Here comes my screwdriver again, because I can't turn the knob on my iron, and we're going to adhere these down. Now you can see that there's a tiny little bit there that doesn't seem to, so don't worry about if you overlap by a fraction, or if you've got a tiny fraction of a gap, because these will be taken up in the seam allowance, all right? And now that I'm doing stripes, you'll find this week this is a little bit quicker. Hence the reason I'm going to try and see if I can make the bigger one. If I can't, I'll just show you what I've done with it, and all is not lost. Okay, so this, until you've started adhering it, all you want to do is pat it down, and then then I tend to turn over and do it on the other side so that I don't get glue on my iron, because that would be a bit of a disaster. Okay, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit, because apart from anything else, has anybody else noticed if you've got your iron on constantly in your workroom, especially mine as it's so small, it just gets hotter and hotter. I want to expire by the time I've been sewing for half an hour. So there we are, that's all adhered to that, so that's not going anywhere, that's absolutely fine. And then what we need to do next is we need to fold this strip over onto that strip, right sides down. Does that make sense? So this strip here, this is the green one, you can see the different colours. We're going to fold it over onto the other one, and the line, that tan grid line, will be on the fold. Now if you want to pop a pin in, feel free to pop a pin in, but it's pretty good, it will stay where you've put it, all right? And then we're going to sew it. 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to have, I've got my 1/4 inch foot on. You don't have to have one. You can either move your needle if you've got a machine that does that, or you can go with the lines on the machine here. Now, can you see that? I'll try and get it at the right angle for you. Okay. So, hi Lizzie. Yes, Facebook Lives will be available on YouTube later in the week. There you go. So, yes, because if you haven't got decent Wi-Fi, it takes forever to upload onto YouTube, and that would just eat into a holiday. Well, we don't want that. So we're going to sew along the folded edge, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Don't worry about doing stitches to reverse stitches at the end. And so when we fold that back, we've now got a seam there, and we've got our seam allowance here like we would have normally. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is this second one, fold it over onto the third one. So ignore that first one now, fold the second strip over onto the first one, onto the third one, and ignore the first one. Second onto the third. So to start with, we did the first onto the second, right sides together, and now we're doing the second onto the third. Am I making sense? I hope so. It's been one of those days today. It's just been a little bit trying. You know, you have them. We all do. But I'm in my happy place now, so it's fine. Then we fold back again, and you can see that we've got those 2 seams done there. Just finger pressing that for a minute. So that's 1, 2 we're going to ignore. Number 3, we're going to fold over onto number 4. Make sure that I can hear the dogs barking downstairs. I think somebody's daring to walk down the lane adjacent to our house, and they can see. And of course the lane belongs to my dogs, nobody else. So that's the next one, and then ignore those 3 and put number 4 on top of number 5. And you'll probably find, like me, you won't need a pin, because it just stays. That's it. It just stays as it is. The beauty about doing patchwork on the quilter's grid, if you weren't about last week, is that it keeps everything so accurate. It's really quite lovely, so accurate. So the one thing that I'm going to do, and I can't find my, it is behind me. The one thing that I'm going to do slightly differently from last week is that when I turn this over, you'll see that I've got these folded edges. Now, because this piece is so small, what I would like to do is I'd like to open those seams up. They're folded closed. So what I am going to do, if I can find my ruler, it's all here ready for me. Now you can use a pair of scissors if you wish to, but what I'm going to do is to, let me put that out of the way so you've got more space to see. I am going to lay my ruler a very, a 1/16 of an inch, a very small fraction away from that edge. Can you see what I've done there? So there's the folded edge, and I'm going to put my ruler right on the very edge. And if I just take that very tiny little bit off, all I'm doing really is removing the fold. And then what we'll be able to do, if I can lay it down for you and show you, now we've taken the fold off, if I can get in there we are, we can open up that seam. Can you see that? So these have still got the folded edges, and this one I just took a fraction off. Can you see how much I've taken? It's literally, it's not a 1/16 of an inch, I don't think. It's literally a tiny little piece. I'm going to pop this light on because I think I've got shadows. And this one. Surprising how bright you think it is because it's light outside and then the shadows come in. So I'm going to do that with all of those folds. So literally right at the very end. And as I say, use the scissors if you're happier using a scissors, if you feel more comfortable. And you don't have to worry about the fact that that little bit that I've left over there is cut, because that's going to be trimmed off anyway. All right, so that's the second one. And then the third one, just cut it off. And then we'll bring in our iron again and the wool pressing mat. And we'll fold those seams open. That just distributes the bulk a little bit. Now, when you've got squares, you've got seams both ways. So you can still do this if you want to, especially on just maybe the horizontal ones or the vertical ones. But just a little tip, if you do this, those pieces that fold over there, they've got glue. All right, so don't put your iron all the way down. We're going to go kind of sideways so that we don't put our iron on the glue. And it is a bit fiddly because they're small, especially on this one. It's a bit better on the other one. And what I'm going to do is what a few people suggested to me last week, and I didn't use it, but I'm going to use my clapper. If anybody doesn't know what a clapper is, it's a piece of wood, and it's a lovely piece of wood, I must say, that as you put on the seam when the seam is hot, the wood will absorb the heat and it will stay on that seam. So look how lovely and can you see that? How lovely and smooth that is and flat that seam is. All right. So that's I've folded that a little bit. There we go. So that's that. And then if you pop it onto the other side, give it a good old press from the top as well. If you want to use starch or best press or whatever you want to use, then you can do that as well. And so there we have the start of our project. So that's the top, if you like, of our little tiny quilted piece. Okay, so, and there we've got the seams open on the back. You love the colour of my nails, Christine. Well, do you know, last week I had the brightest pink you could get, and I told everybody I was going subtle last week. So this week I thought I'd cheer myself up and do even brighter and have a subtle colour. So I can't have the same each week. When I have one done, I say to myself, oh, I really like this, so I think I'll keep it. And then when I go, I always change my mind. That's just me. Okay, so there's our front piece. Now we have to sandwich up our bit of a quilt. So we have to adhere our fabric. I've got my 505 spray here. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's an temporary adhesive spray, and it is brilliant for adding on your wadding. So I'm going to turn, so what I'm going to do actually is what I did in the pattern. This white fabric here is my backing fabric, and it's just a tiny little spot. So I'm going to put my backing fabric down on the table. All right. Let's make sure you can see what I'm doing. Ah, that's better. Down on the table with the right side of the fabric on the table. And then I'm going to pop that on the top. Now, this piece of backing fabric is larger, the same amount all the way round, than the wadding. So I'm just going to measure to see that I've got it in the right place and that it's central. It will tell you exactly on the pattern what the sizes are, so you can have a look on there. If you haven't downloaded the pattern and you're not sure where to get it from, it's on the Lizzie Curtis website page. So it's lizziecurtis.com, and you'll be able to download it from there. They only cost £1. Or you can go and buy the DigiPass. Have a look at that. That's on the website as well. And you'll be able to have all of the MIMS for a month for £3. If you're a gold member, you don't have to do any of that because you get it free. So what I'm going to do now is just to trim that off all the way around so that I can see my wadding. If you want to layer this up and then trim it off, you can do that. There's no right or wrong way. But I find that when I'm doing the process like I'm doing this tonight, slightly different binding than we did last week, I like to have my layers the same size. So here comes my piece that I've put on, and there is the piece for the top. So I've got the top fabric, the wadding, and then the bottom fabric. That's the wrong side, the wadding, the wrong side. Okay, so that's how we're going to layer it up, and I've measured all the way around to make sure that I've got that central. I'm just going to peel that back, give it a little spray. You don't need very much. If you prefer to do this with pins, then feel free to do it with pins. Just make sure that it's central. And then what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do with this is just do it in 2 halves so I don't spoil what I've already measured. Because you'll find if you take it off with the glue, it doesn't want to stay in the right place. So those now are not going anywhere. Those are adhered together and they're not going anywhere. And if you want to double check, again, we've got those all measuring the same amount, give or take a farthing. All right. Okay, so those are ready to sort out. Put that in my Ava. So what I was saying was that if you're part of the gold group, and if you don't know what the gold group is, then you'll see that on Lizzie Curtis as well. It's the best group in the world. And you'll be able to subscribe to the gold group, and then you'll get all the MIMS for free. So, you know, you'll also get one mid-month madness pattern from me that's a bit more complicated than the MIMS, and you'll get 2 patterns from Lizzie that's that are slightly well, not complicated, but a bit more sophisticated than the mid-month madness. And you get a Facebook Live every Thursday, and then you get Facebook Live every Monday with the MIMS as well. So what's not to like? There's lots going on, competitions and guests and different things going on. So yeah. There you go. That's lots of ways to get your mim. Now we're going to bring this over to the front and do our binding, and we're going to put our ribbon in. And then we're kind of more or less there. So I put my mat away and I want it. So what we're going to do first of all is that we're going to fold these pieces in half. So this raw edge here comes up to the raw edge here, fold it in half like that. And we're going to bring the backing fabric through to the front to make the binding. Now, I'm just going to iron this, but if you want to put some quilter's tape on to hold it down, feel free to do that, all right? The only problem is with that, I'll show you the little downfall in a second, but it's doable, very doable. So I'm going to fold, so I've folded both those raw edges here, just to the sides there so it meets the raw edges along there. And I'm going to do the same with the short edges. Okay. Don't worry about the corners. I'm going to do the same with this short edge. If you're going to use thicker wadding, then I would cut your binding 1/4 of an inch bigger than it says on the pattern. Because if you've got relatively low loft wadding, then this is fine to come over. If you've got a thicker wadding, you might find you want it a little thicker. All right. So I don't mean cut your binding, I mean cut your backing 1/4 of an inch all the way around, bigger than you need it, than it says in the pattern. So what we're going to do now is this folded edge here is going to come over onto the front of our work, and I'm going to put some quilter's clips on it. I'm going to do that all the way around. So just to recap then, this raw edge folded over and pressed so that these raw edges meet, and then this folded edge comes over onto the top fabric, onto your piece of patchwork if you like. And you'll notice, as I said in the beginning, that the quilter's grid actually stays in your work and you won't even know it's there. So that's what we have, which looks a little bit of a mess, but now we're going to miter the corners. Now if you don't want to miter the corners, you just fold that right over at the corner, fold that in half, and then fold it over again, and you don't have to have a mitered corner. But I like a mitered corner. That feels a bit bulky to me as well, and it's more bulky than a mitered corner. So what we do is undo all this, take that clip out for a minute so I've got room, undo all this, we're folding, doing the first fold, all right, all the way down to the end, and then this bit here, this corner here, so let me show you, this corner here is going to be folded over at a 45-degree angle, and it's going to come to there. So can you all see that? So I've got a 45-degree angle on my corner there. Do you want me to do that again? All right. So I folded this bit to the raw edge. That was our first step. Then this corner, just let me get my fingers in the way, I folded over to here, and I have a 45-degree angle. All right, and then we've got our fold line there, so we're going to fold that bit over again. All right, and that's there, and there again you can use your quilter's tape here if you want to, if it makes it easier for you. I've got banners all over the place. Right, can you see what I've done there? I'm going to do it one more time for you. I folded this to the inside, I folded that corner at a 45-degree angle, and then this one I folded in as well. Now you're going to say to me, that's not a mitered corner. No, it's not yet. So this bit here needs to be folded in. Do you remember I said fold it in? So from there, that comes in. Actually, I did that wrong. Beg your pardon. That comes folded in properly, and it's this corner then that comes in. You see, that's what a trying day at work does for you. And so scrap everything I said in the last 5 minutes, fold it all the way over, carry on the fold right to the edge, and fold this corner up to here. Okay, so you've got a nice right angle there, and then this bit in, and then this whole bit over. It's very difficult for you to see, I know, because my fingers are in the way. So once that bit is folded over, I'll just pop a clip there for a minute. Do you see you've got a mitered corner? Can you see that if I bring it up? All right. And I'm going to do that another 3 times, so don't worry if you still haven't got it. And there's photographs in the pattern that will show you. Okay, so I'll do it correctly this time. That bit's folded over, so our raw edges are together. Then we fold it over to the top, and we carry that fold. Let's get it straight. That's it. We carry that fold right across. Give it a little crease with your finger or whatever. Then this corner here, so this bit isn't folded at all now. This corner here comes over to there. To there. Can you see that? Is everybody okay with that? That corner comes over to there. All right? Sorry, meant very clear. Thank you. That's good. Okay. If anybody doesn't know, doesn't get it, I'm going to do it another twice anyway. So here we go then. That's folded in half again now over the top of the first folds, and then that bit is coming right over to meet. I'm hoping that you can see this. All right? And as you fold that over there, that comes right over. So I'm going to put a clip on there to hold it in place, and you've got your lovely mitered corner. Fold down the long edge. Take that off so I've got some space, and this one. All right, fold it to there, so you're folding your extra bit in half. Fold it over to the top. Let's see if I can show you a little bit easier. Okay, so that's all folded. That's a continuous fold right the way down. Then this corner comes up here at a 45-degree angle and meets the raw edge. So you've got a lovely 45-degree angle there, and another and kind of a 90-degree angle there. Then this bit, fold it in so that raw edges meet, and then fold it over. That went a bit easier, didn't it? It's practice. It's practice. So while I do this other one then, I'm not going to talk you through it. You watch while I tell you about Frank. I went out Saturday morning. I was only gone for an hour. I went out Saturday morning to have my nails done. And I was only gone for an hour. But when I got back, everything seemed fine. Everything was lovely. And then later on, I was going to do some sewing and start getting things ready for you. And I thought, why is my phone not getting any Wi-Fi? Well, you've guessed it, haven't you? He chewed through the power cable on the router. How on earth he didn't cause a fire or electrocute himself, I really do not know. And I honestly don't know from then till now how he got actually into it, because it was all hidden, but he got into it somehow, and he chewed through the wire. So I thought, oh, I've got a Facebook Live on Monday, and how am I going to manage without Wi-Fi? It would have been all right because I've got unlimited data on my phone and we could have sorted it out. But I like to have belt and braces, you see. So I had to suddenly get one from Amazon, which I managed to do, and it was delivered yesterday. So, whew, be still my beating heart. I didn't tell him off, you'd be glad to know. So there we are, we've got all our mitered corners. So I still don't know which way to put this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew as close to that folded edge on the machine as I can. And then when I come up to the mitered corners, I just make sure they're in the right place, and then we sew all the way around. Before I do that, I need to put my ribbons in, and I have those here. We need 4 pieces of ribbon, and the length is on the pattern. And what I've done on the short bit of ribbon is I've put a bit of quilter's tape, all right? And I've told you in the pattern that we need to measure on both short sides. Let's push that away again a little bit. Both short sides, we need to measure from there up to here, and just make a little mark. Let me just see if I can find my... Okay, just an inch up. Oh, got something in my mouth, do beg your pardon. Just an inch up. And we're going to, on the little one, we're going to put this ribbon centrally underneath, centrally over the top of that mark. Can you see my little mark there? All right, I don't know whether you can see it because it's not, but there's a little mark here, and I'm going to put that centrally underneath, and I'm going to squeeze it down, and the quilter's tape will hold it in place. Okay, and then when we come to sew it, we're going to fold it back, and as we sew all the way around, we'll sew that in place. All right, so I've made my other little mark. I've got my quilter's tape on here. I've taken the backing paper off. Pop it centrally over there. Let me do it that way so you can see. Pop it centrally over there. Push it in as far as it will go so it goes right up to the edge. Give it a press so that quilter's tape sticks it down. And then fold it on the edge so it goes backwards. All right. Now, if you can see a little bit of quilter's tape, don't worry about it because it will actually come off with water. There we go. And the same on this side. So on both your short sides, you need to measure in and make a little mark. So I'm going to do that both sides. So there again, I'm not sure if you can see, it's just not very good lighting, is it? There's a little mark just here. And that's made with a heat erasable pen, so that will come off. Right, so put my ribbon in right to the edge, press it down so that it sticks. Put this one right to the edge, press it down, and that will stick. All right, and now we want to sew all the way round to sew our binding, making sure that we fold these back. So I'm going to start just the other side of that ribbon so that we don't see the join. Okay, so you can turn your stitch up if you wanted to do some top stitching, and then make sure that you turn your ribbon back. Can you see what I've just done? Don't think you can. Can you see that you just turn the ribbon back, and then I'm stitching over the top of the ribbon. I'll try and see if I can show you in a few minutes what I've done. Now at this point I can't find my stiletto. I've been on a workshop and I think I've still got everything packed up. So if you've got something that you can hold, I've got my screwdriver, just make sure that you go nice and slowly, there's no rush, and you come over the top of your mitered corner, and then you swivel, lift your presser foot up, swivel, hold your corner in place, pop it down, and then continue to sew. All right. Now, if you haven't got quilter's clips, you can use pins, and if you're finding that a little bit much to handle, you can put quilter's tape underneath this as well. As you fold over, you just put quilter's tape underneath, and that will hold it nice and steady for you. So we're coming up to that corner again. So just hold it nice and steady. Then lift it up, swivel it round, and don't forget, fold this ribbon over the top of it. Hold the ribbon down with that point whatever you've got. Fold this ribbon back so it's nicely on the edge. That's curled up a little bit. Do have to keep an eye on it. It's a little tiny bit fiddly, but it all works. Make sure your corner's nicely situated there. I've got that folded up. Pop it under, put it back. Swivel around again. And we're nearly there. So is everybody okay? Frank is a true little dachshund. They always find trouble. I think, I'm not quite sure if he's teaching his big sister's trouble or whether they're just teaching him. Because all the trouble I ever got into was because of my big sister. I swear it. It wasn't me, Mum. It was my big sister. So I think that's what he's saying to me. But I knew it was him because they've never chewed anything in their lives. Unless they've started, I suppose. Okay, we're going over that ribbon again. So just take it nice and slowly. Make sure you've got it in a nice place. And we're coming back and just do 2 or 3 stitches over your original ones. And there we have it. We have our little project. So I can take that one off there. And all I need to do is just trim my threads off. All I need to do is pop it on here. Tiny bit fiddly, but just do the ribbon up. I'm not very good at tying ribbons. I'm very, what's the word? Uncoordinated, I think the word is. And then put your ribbons up inside the handle so that it doesn't, that the whole thing doesn't move. Oh, goodness me. There we are. So there we are. All right, so you can see that those ribbons are inside the handle. They're not that neatly tied, but I'm rushing a little bit. Well, not rushing, but and there we have it. It keeps your coffee nice and warm. All right. Is that okay? Do you like that one? I'll pop it there so you can carry on seeing it. Now then, I was going to do these at the same time, but I decided against that. This is the making of this. All right. So what I've got is I've got strips that are longer and more of them. And I've actually just sewn them together. No quilter's grid. All right. I've just sewn them together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've sewn 4 and 4. And now all I've got to do is join that down the centre there. So this time it will have no quilter's grid in it. So if you wanted to give it a little bit of extra substance, you could always get to this stage and you could put some lightweight stabilizer on it if you wanted to make it a little stiffer, or to give it a bit more structure. So here we're going to just fold these back. We haven't got to worry about glue. So for those people who can't get the grid or don't want to invest in that, you don't have to use it, but it does make things more accurate if you're using squares. It's not quite so much of a problem, is it, if you're using stripes? It doesn't really matter. It does matter if it's accurate. You want it to look nice, of course, but it doesn't matter if you're a fraction out because you're not joining, you're not nesting any seams. So I just wanted to show you a slightly different way of tackling, these projects. If because the quilter's grid is a little bit expensive. It's available on Lizzie's Amazon shop. So the link for Lizzie's Amazon shop is on the website, but perhaps one of the admin team will pop it up here for you. And you don't have to buy huge amounts of it. This is only small pieces, all right? But you don't have to use it at all if you don't want to. I quite like it because it gives the whole thing structure. But you see what I've done there? All I've done is just put the strips together. There is nothing easier than that, is there? Absolutely nothing easier than that. What we do have to do for this is to just, I've cut my wadding to the right size, but you will see that because of the size of the strips that I'm using, it's just a fraction too long. And if you have it too long, it won't sit correctly here. So you want a little bit of a gap there. So when we come to this, we're just going to trim it to the size of our wadding. So the size that I've put in the pattern for the wadding, trim it evenly. The size that I've put in there, we're going to just trim the top fabric down to that, because that's the size that we actually want the cafetiere hug to be. All right, so we've still got another 10 or 12 minutes. So let's see how much we can do. Oh, I am so sorry, I just knocked the camera. Find out which is my right side up and right side down. It's very difficult to see. Exactly the same process, because it's only bigger after all, is that we're going to place the wadding on the wrong side of the backing fabric, and then we're going to place that on the top. Okay, so take your spray if that's what you've got, or pin the layers together if you don't have that. Make sure those seams are sitting nice and flat, because they can have a tendency to fold back on themselves and go in the wrong place. So make sure those are nice and flat. See, like that one did. Oh, I've put that right in your way, I'm so sorry. And then all we do is exactly the same with the binding as we did before, and we've got our bits of ribbon. So, oh, thank you. Anne's put on the Amazon shop. Thank you, Anne. That's lovely. And Gemma's done that as well. So you've got two opportunities to write that down if you, or you can go into the comments afterwards and just click on there to go into Lizzie's Amazon shop. She might get a penny every time you buy something. Won't be a great deal, but you know, what did Mum used to say? Look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves. So fold that in like we did before, and you'll have another opportunity now of seeing those corners one last time. It's exactly the same process, but I just wanted to show you that it's okay not to use the quilter's grid if you don't want to. So let me show you this bit then before I've done the other part. So fold the edge to the raw edge, fold the folded edge over and continue it down there. I'm going to take my Halford screwdriver, bring that corner, that square 90-degree corner, up to make a line that is 45 degrees across that corner. Fold the other bit in and then bring it up all over together. This is where my tongue comes out, so it's good that you can't see my face. Oh, that was the iron, nearly did it. I do that so often, burn my arm, because I'm leaning over the iron. And then we're going to carry on the fold right off the end. Fold it over so that it's 45-degree angle, and fold it over so the mitered corner fits. That's the little bit that's fiddly, because you want to get that first fold, that first raw edge right underneath. But you can see actually once you've got the hang of it, it is fairly quick, and it's a nice way of doing the binding. And you can do your binding like this on quilts or table runners or whatever you want to do. It's really nice to have the binding coming to the front from the back. Then you don't have to worry about hand stitching it together. You don't have to worry about stitching in the ditch to finish it off. I'm going to, and it's a really nice way. Now, what I'll show you in a second is the inside of the one that I've made, because I'm putting white on the back of here like I put on the projects that we've done so far, so they all match. But of course, if you put, well, even with white, it's still, this will be totally reversible. So I'm not going to bore you to death with that, because I can stitch that afterwards. But there we've got our other one, and the same thing applies. We're going to measure an inch up, make a mark, and this time, instead of putting the ribbon centrally, because it's a slightly different shape, instead of putting the ribbon centrally over the mark, all right, we're going to put it inside the mark. So we're going to put it in here. So I don't know whether you can actually see, but there's the mark and there's the ribbon. It's actually in towards the center, all right, because it's a slightly different shape here. Now, what I was going to say to you was that I've got a bigger cafetiere and a smaller cafetiere, and not all cafetieres are equal. I'm sure they're not. They're not all the same size. So all I did to get the right size was to measure it, and then you'll know how many strips you have to use and all that kind of thing. And don't forget, like I've done, it's about 1/4 of an inch each side. I've actually trimmed mine off to make it fit. All right. So there we are. That's the makings of the second one. So that was just a slightly different method of being able to do it. And I'm going to pop this one off for you now. So it comes off, it'll go in the washing machine if you've dribbled your coffee on it. I've got mine just sitting on the top in the kitchen when they're downstairs. I don't allow anybody to use them. You can make instant coffee. And then what we've got is, because we've top stitched around the binding, we've got top stitching all the way around this, so we can put this on here completely reversible. And if you wanted to, you could put all sorts of different colours on the back of here. You could put squares on the back and stripes on the front. You could do whatever you wanted, just to make it slightly different. You could even make it plain on both sides. You don't have to do the stripes at all, or the strips, or whatever you want to call them. And even with the quilter's grid, you could do strips round. Just do the width of that. Instead of doing top to bottom strips, do horizontal strips. Just cut them the same width, but longer. So there we go. I'm going to push the camera up so I can see you, or is it so you can see me? Not sure. So what do you think? Which way do you think you'll have a go at first? I dare you to have a go at the quilter's grid, because you'll be hooked. Yeah. So this is Jeeves. What does Abby say? She always says, this is it compared to my head. Well, there we are. And this is Jeeves Jr. And of course, Jeeves Jr. is reversible as well. If you wanted white on the outside, why not? Why not? It's lovely and crisp and clean, isn't it, to have white on the outside? So there we go. So is everybody all right? You all happy? The good news is that on Thursday, Lizzie will have signal. And so Lizzie will be back on Thursday to see you. And as always, there's always lots of little surprises to be had. So if you're not part of the Gold Club, you can join, and then you can join us on Thursday. And that's on the Gold Club page, the group, the Gold group on Facebook. Otherwise, we'll see you next Monday on Making It Monday on the Lizzie Curtis page. And keep out for lots of things going on in between. Does anybody have any questions? I've got 5 minutes. Does anybody want me to tell you anything? Or where's Frank? He's downstairs. Do you want to see him? I'll have to leave you with my untidy workroom and go and see what he's doing. Does anybody want to see Frank? I don't have to go and see him. I think I'm going to bore you to death with Frank. I really do think I'm going to bore you to death. I think Anne and Jane want to see Frank. Can we see Frank, please? Okay, I'll go and get him, shall I? You'll hear him squealing, I'm sure you will, because he's a little squealer. Bear with me. Your audience is upstairs. Yes. Your audience is upstairs. Who are you going to see? Who are you going to see? You're going to see the lovely ladies. Are you? Come on then. Where are you going to stand? There he is. See, look at that. Look at that. Shall we stand there? Oh, careful. Because I know that makes my microphone muffled. So, look, Frank. Can you see? Can you see ribbons? What's this? What's this? There he is. All you can see is his back end. I'll show everybody your bottom. Show them your darling face. What can you see? Oh, he's wondering what all this mess is. That's what he's doing. He is a cutie, isn't he? He's a lovely little chap. Yeah, he's a lovely little chap, and he's as good as gold, really. He doesn't know about cables and things, does he? He doesn't understand. So, yeah, so that's him. So you're going to say goodnight to ladies? Say goodnight. Good night, ladies. There we go. He's gorgeous. I'll pop him on the floor. You'll find something to chew, I've no doubt. So, thank you so much for joining me. We've had a lovely evening, haven't we? And we've made, or more or less made 2. I can whiz round that on the sewing machine now, and that will be 2. So, so enjoy making. Please do make loads. What can I chew, Mum? Yes, I know. You can't chew anything, Frank. I hope you make loads. I hope you remember to download the pattern and to follow through. This video will be on the Lizzie Curtis page for as long as it takes her to get fed up with me, and then she can take it down. And so we will see you again Thursday or next Monday. So have a lovely week. Take care. Enjoy the sunshine, whatever you're doing. And see you next week. Bye for now. Bye.